million dollar question, and I don't think there's no easy way to do it. In an ideal world, everybody would have a month of the year where they just spend the time cleansing their data and keeping things up to date. Unfortunately, life always gets in the way with these kinds of things.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times you don't realize there's a problem with your data. Until you try and put it into another system, you might not realize that there's anything wrong with your data. And I think that's the common misconception that we have when we start projects, is that people will come into a project and think our data's fine, there's no problem with our data. And then it gets sort of put on the back burner.
Can you give a small example of that? What can it be, like a problem with the data that people don't usually see?
It's normally formatting issues or duplicate in certain things like employee numbers or naming issues and things that you might not think you have a problem with, depending on how your system operates. Or it could be the way that your employees are linked with positions might not line up correctly with what we need. These are all things that you'll get problems with when we try and test the migration of the data.
Okay.
Yeah, so these kinds of things will normally get put into the background because there's normally more important things to be thinking about as far as an end user's concerned, which is, can this new system hold all our information? Can I do my job in this system?
Yeah.
And I get there's a lot to think about when you're actually starting a project like this, and that's why we have project managers and consultants and stuff like that. We're there to sort of guide you through the journey.
Yeah.
And it's always something that we spend a lot of time with, really reading the riot act to clients, really just kind of stressing that your data needs to get sorted now. I know it's really boring, but like it needs doing. I think, there's a lot of wins to be made in your data as well, because if you're taking really dirty, badly managed data, we can probably put it into D365 without any issues. But it doesn't necessarily mean we should. So you really only get one chance to kind of make a good first impression in the system.
Okay.
Varies, but like put it in your personnel data is the first thing you do, and everything gets built off the back of that. So your employees get put in, your start dates get put in, who they report to. And on the back of all of that, then we can do your leave and absence, your benefits, compensation. All that uses your employee start date. So if things like your employee start dates aren't correct, or your seniority dates or anything like that, it's going to knock everything out.
Yeah, because there's dependencies in there. Yeah,
there's a lot of dependencies. Really, like, your data is the foundation, and a lot of the functionality feeds from that foundation. So bad data sort of creates bad processes to account for the bad data, and then that can lead to like complex developments, and obviously there's a cost involved in all of that, and it does cause a loss to system integrity as well. You shouldn't be making processes to account for bad data. That's the main thing to take away from this. And it's something we've seen hundreds of times, not necessarily with our clients, but when you come in and a client's been using a legacy system, it's normally something bespoke that's been built for them. These things normally have certain quirks and random bits of data that are being stored for some reason. And it's not a bad thing to ask the question why you store that information. If it is something relevant to the organization, do you need to store it? So if you're storing something absurd like hair color, for example, just weird and wonderful things like that they may have had a field for. Do we need to bring that through to the new system? Is it still required?
Okay.
I've never encountered anywhere that stores hair color.
Sure.
Okay. Can't report on how many ginger people work for you or anything weird like that.